Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today with us, we have Linux Mint 22.2. Not actually, we actually have the Linux Mint Debian Edition 7GG. Now, this does look very familiar to that, of course, but underneath, this is running Debian and it's not based on Ubuntu. So we do have an exciting video ahead of us, guys. Let's strap in and let's talk about it. All right, diving straight into Linux Mint. We're gonna go ahead and try to install Linux Mint. Let's just go through the steps and see how that goes. Welcome to LMDE 7. The program will ask you a few questions and install LMDE on your computer. So let's go ahead. English India. Of course, I'm in India, but you can change it to American English as well. So click on next. This is your time zone. Again, Asia, Kolkata. This is correct because I am connected to my Wi-Fi network, so it already picks up a few things. So this is English United States. For the keyboard, clicking on next, you have to enter your name. Let's just say Anirban, and then your computer's name, Anirban-PC. Pick a username and pick a password. So here you go. You want to log in automatically or require your password to log in. I just keep it at the default, requiring my password to log in. Now, it also says if you want to do an automated installation or use LVM, logical volume management, if you want to encrypt the operating system or you want to fill the disk with random data, I would say stick to the normal option, or if you want to go ahead with manual partitioning, this would, I guess, give you Gparted and you can create partitions to your own liking. So let's just go ahead with the automated installation. You can choose the disk. So this is the Toshiba 1 terabyte hard disk that I have over here. We're going to click next, and it says this will delete all the data on the Toshiba hard disk. Are you sure? So you can click on yes, and then you click next. And before installation, it gives you a summary. So it says the language is United States, the time zone, the keyboard layout, the names of the user, and system settings, as well as the file system operations. Now we're not going to go ahead and install because this is the final step. I believe after this, you have to install your operating system. We're just going to click on quit, and let's assume Linux Mint is installed. Okay, let's just assume that. Okay, now that's fixed. All right, jumping into Linux Mint. Welcome to your new computer. So this is the Linux Mint Debian Edition 7GG. Welcome to your new operating system. You can go through the first steps. You can choose your desktop colors, system snapshots, multimedia codecs. You do have a lot of things. We're going to talk about a few of these. So first up is the desktop colors, like we already talked about, and you have a bunch of different options. So by default, it gives you a mint Y or minty appearance. This is just to make it easier to understand to see. So this is the mixed option with the blue and yellow combination. So you can see the crossbar is blue and the folders themselves are a bit yellow. So this looks actually cool. You can change this, of course. You can change it to orange and dark gray, I suppose. This looks okay as well. Change it to purple. So the folders become purple as well as the cross. So they do change color accordingly. Let's check this out as well. This looks steel blue. I guess this looks cool too. I think we're going to stick to the original. So this yellow looks definitely good. And you can also change it to dark mode. So changing it to dark mode changes the entire operating system to dark mode, including your start menu and your taskbar and other things. So for example, the calendar over here, everything goes to dark mode. But if you change it over to light mode, everything becomes light, which I don't really prefer. I think mixed is the best option out of the bunch if you don't prefer dark mode, or if you do prefer dark mode, again, that's fantastic as well. Now in advanced settings, this would give you the old look where you can choose your mouse pointer, your application style, your icons, as well as your desktop. Now you can also add and remove themes, or you can get to mess around with the different settings that you have over here. Now that we're out of the way, system snapshots, we're not going to go into all of the small things. It lets you create snapshots that you can, if you break anything, if you mess anything up, this lets you go back to a previous version of your desktop. Multimedia codecs, you obviously want to have them installed because this is going to help you play your media, including your movies, your songs, whatever. Okay, so this is really important. And then again, you do also have your update manager. This is the one-stop shop for updating Linux Mint. This is very handy. It says, right? So it says it's good for security updates, for software updates, as well as system snapshots to help protect your system from your own mistakes. Talk about saving me from myself. So, I mean, it asks you to switch to a local mirror. I generally don't need it, but if you are in Europe or in places where you do get faster mirrors, you can always go ahead and switch to a local mirror. So for my case, that's not really applicable, but if you go to preferences, I think you can change a lot of things. So you can hide the update manager after applying updates, only show the tray icon when an update is available. So that's pretty handy. So this would show up only when you have updates to your system. And you also get options to refresh the list of updates automatically with a schedule baked in place. You also get notification settings, and you get them for packages as well. So it does include Flatpak as well as Cinnamon Spice updates, and you can also block packages over here. So inside package updates, you can apply updates automatically, and you can also have a blacklist where you can mention if any updates you don't want to have them done automatically. You can update Cinnamon Spices automatically and also update Flatpaks automatically. Now, this depends on your own preference, but the point is they do give you all the options to neatly go through and manage your system. Now you can see they already have updates for Firefox, Ghostscript, and TIFF. And there was another thing that I wanted to talk about over here. You can go ahead and probably update your kernel, system snapshots, software resources, but I don't see that. This is available in the normal Linux Mint. I guess they don't have it over here. Now, this is actually based on the 6.12 kernel. So let's just go to terminal and we can check that real quick. So uname -a, and it says this is the 6.12 kernel from the Debian. So this is the pre-EMT dynamic Debian kernel. So that's something to keep in mind. This is not going to be your latest kernel, because normally what you would get with Ubuntu Linux Mint is you would get the 6.14 kernel, but over here you get the 6.12 kernel. So it's a little bit older, but if you want stability, if Debian is your jam and you hate Ubuntu and all the things that they do, I mean, Linux Mint does a pretty good job of clearing out the controversial clutter made by Ubuntu. But if somehow you don't want that and you still want to go ahead with the Debian route, and you sometimes prefer the Linux Mint version of Debian over the normal Debian version, then you can just go ahead with this. And this is actually a fantastic option for you. Okay, this was the install Mint meta codecs. I'm not going to do this because this is a live environment. No need for that. But if you were to install this on your computer, you would definitely go ahead and click install. Now, we do also have system settings and software manager, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. First, let's go through a few things that are new this time around. We already talked about the kernel, so that's the 6.12 kernel. And if you have something like an AMD powered graphics card or Intel powered graphics card, that's going to help you play newer games. Obviously, it's not going to be as bleeding edge as something like Pop! OS or using Arch, but this is something that you have too. Okay, so you also get a new temporary behavior. Okay, this is not a file or program per se, but what Debian 13 does is, now in LMDE 7, it stores files in the RAM, the temporary files in the RAM instead of the disk. So this means that the applications that use the temp folder, like compilers or video editors, they run noticeably faster since RAM is a lot quicker than storage. Plus, the system automatically cleans up itself now. Files sitting unused in the temp folder for 10 days gets deleted, and var/temp gets deleted after 30 days. You do also get a ton of user interface refinements. So for example, if you were to lock the screen, and I don't have any users on the systems, that's why I can't show you the blur, but it actually has a beautiful blur effect on the login screen. And you also get support for user avatars. The libidvita library now works properly with the Mint themes instead of ignoring them. This means that GNOME apps like the calendar and other stuff, they are gonna be following your chosen theme, be it Mint Y, Mint X, or Mint L, and the accent color will be picked accordingly instead of looking completely out of place. So that's something which is really good. Now, moreover, if you were to go into any of the places where there's a hint of gray, for example, your file explorer, this is Neo, for example, and you won't really understand this, but actually the gray color isn't really pure gray. They have a hint of blue mixed into this, so it looks a little bit more bluish, and even though you won't really understand it, your subconscious will pick it up and it would look a bit nicer to your eyes. So that's cool. And now you do also get the latest version of APT. So this is the APT 3 version. Let me just go ahead and type it in for you. So this is the APT 3.0.3, and package management is handled along with the Solver 3 algorithm. So when you install software with dependencies, the system figures out what's needed more intelligently and handles conflicts better than before. And the terminal output now also uses colors. So packages being installed show up in green, removals appear in red, and progress bars are much cleaner than before. Okay, you do also get a ton of core application upgrades. So for example, first up is your sticky notes. Sticky notes are now way more rounded than before, and they look actually good. So if you search with sticky, you're gonna get notes, and let's just close this out. And as you can see, they do have rounded corners on the top, and this looks good. This actually looks pretty cool. So that's something. Let's just keep it there, and let's just say I love Linux Mint. How cool is that? And they are also now compatible with Wayland, and a new debus method was added to reload the notes. You also get an Android app called Stinky Notes, which was written by Graham Bygrave. It's available in the repository for Linux Mint. I'll leave the link down below in the description. You can go ahead and check it out for yourselves. You do also get Hypnotics. There are updates to Hypnotics. Hypnotics is one of my favorite apps ever to exist, where you can watch TV. Okay, so you do get a ton of TV channels, movies, and series. It's 0 for now. It's okay. 1,600 TV channels. I think you're gonna have a lot of time to clear out all those channels. So there are in different languages: Chad, Chile, Cyprus, Egypt, different countries, India. For this is my country, NDTV, India. I guess if I just wait for a second, the logos are gonna load and the channel is gonna start playing. I don't want that to happen right now. We're gonna just press back. And now a few interesting things are we do get borderless mode and a full screen mode. So in borderless mode, Hypnotics even hides the window borders and the title bar. You can still move your window around with the mouse by pressing on the Alt key. This is to watch the TV without any distractions. That's a pretty good move on their part. They do also get a theater mode where all the controls and menus are hidden, so your program fills up the entire window. So theater mode plus the borderless mode, it would actually give you a complete and clean TV experience. You wouldn't have your title bar, so you would have to use your Alt key plus mouse click to move the windows around, but that's okay. And performance improvements are also happening, and it is way faster to start up and during search operations when dealing with large playlists. Hypnotics now inhibits the session when playback is active. The sound volume is no longer reset when you switch channel. So that is pretty good. If you're watching CTV1 and then you go to CTV2, the sound's not going to change. And your ears are going to thank you again. Now, one of the most important things for authentication is FingWit. Let's just open that. Unfortunately, I don't really have a fingerprint scanner on my laptop, so I can't show it to you guys, but this is the new fingerprint reader app. If you open About, you can see that this is the FingWit app, and it would ask you to register your fingerprints over here. And then if your laptop does have a fingerprint scanner, or if you're using a fingerprint scanner externally, it would allow you to record your fingerprints and use them for authentication purposes, for the screensaver, for the sudo commands, as well as the admin apps. Now, if like most users, you are using a home directory encryption or a keyring, the login screen still requires you to type in a password. But if you don't, you can configure FingWit also to use the fingerprint authentication in the login screen. Let's talk about the software manager. Okay, now we do have a few improvements to the software manager. I think this is it. Let's just go ahead and open it. It will take a few seconds. Now, this is a new home screen. You can see beautiful cards with beautiful apps. So Google Earth, Blender, and then Inkscape, Steam. I love this. Let's just open one of them, Blender. It seems fast and it's pretty responsive. So that's pretty good. And then you do get a explanation, a screenshot, details, reviews as well. And then this is the system package. I guess you could change it to Flatpak. I'm not sure why it doesn't have Flatpak. Maybe you have to enable Flatpak. I'm not really sure. This is my first time checking out Debian. And what happens in the normal Linux Mint 22.2 is you get a I button over here to explain to you the differences between Flatpaks and system packages. But I guess if you are on the Debian version of Linux Mint, you are stuck with the system package. Okay, So I think, yeah, that's it for software. You get different categories, you get top rated and other stuff. This is really good. And then if you go to software sources, you can see different software sources for the official repositories, additional repositories, authentication keys, and maintenance. So let's open Flatpak, and they say, no problem, no packages to show. This may indicate a problem. Try refreshing the cache. So I think what I said was wrong, and you do also get Flatpaks over here. Again, if you guys know about this, or if this is an issue that needs to be fixed, please comment down, and this may help somebody. Okay, I guess we're not going to wait for it to be generated. What I could do is I could minimize this and then come back to it a little bit later. Now let's talk about the system settings. Again, this is going to be very familiar to you if you have already used Linux Mint. You do get your appearance background, so we do have beautiful backgrounds to choose from. You get curves. This looks good. Let's just delete the sticky note. Don't ask me again. And remove that. Square. These look good. But what I really loved about Linux Mint is their like, I love these abstract wallpapers, but the nature wallpapers, man, they were on a completely different level. Maybe I'll use Wave for the thumbnail. Who knows? This looks pretty good. Abstract. This looks nice too. Heart. Heart looks good. I mean, all of these are pretty good. None of them are bad. Silver, Rose, Dawn, Pearl, Psychedelic. These are abstract, sweet. And then Snow and Computer Art, and you also get Sphere. Yeah, I love these wallpapers. These are good. I think Sphere is a little bit unique, and I probably am going to use this for the video. So let's just go back to, and you also get effects. You do get desktop and window effects, effects on dialog boxes, effects on menus, session startup animation, fade effect on cinnamon scroll boxes, and a whole lot more. You can also change your window animation speed. Going back, you do have font selection, themes, we already talked about that. Extensions, you already have a few extensions. I think it's just generating the list. And even if you don't, you can always go ahead and download more extensions. As you can see, this is refreshing the cache, and as soon as it does that, it would download the images, and then you are going to get your list of extensions. So you have transparent panels, G-Tile, Cinnamon Maximus, so this is for undecorating the windows as you like. Burn My Windows, Cinnamon Dynamic Wallpaper. These are pretty handy. Blur My Cinnamon, this is pretty good too. Desktop Cube to change your workspaces. This is a very cool effect, like Zorin OS, Watermark, Compass, Window Manager effects. So all of these are pretty good. You can add them over here, you can delete them, you can remove them, you can undo the changes. So you do have everything over here, and general settings provides you disable composting for the full screen windows. I mean, if your graphics card is weak, or if you have a very old computer, you could try to do that. And you can also set the memory limit of how much Cinnamon is allowed to use. If it starts using more, automatically Cinnamon gets refreshed so that it just releases some of that memory back into the pool, and you have your memory to be allocated to your applications instead of Cinnamon. You also get plenty of gestures. You can enable gestures, so you can push tile to the left. You can trigger gesture end, so you can see these are a few gestures for workspace 1, 2, workspace 4. Okay, this is 2 because I am using an Elgato capture card. The second one is the actual laptop, and this is the virtual screen that the output is coming from the Elgato. And you do get workspaces, and you can also add another workspace over here. But by default, if you go to workspace 1, it shows you all the windows you have open over here. This is pretty cool. I actually like this. Let's close Update Manager. So swipe with 2 fingers, left, right, up, down, and then swipe with 3 fingers to the left, to the right. You can move to different workspaces. Swipe with 4 fingers, move window to another workspace. So if you do this, you can see it moves to the second workspace. And if you swipe with 5 fingers, I mean, that's all you have really on one hand. These are all disabled for obvious reasons, but if you wanted to, you could enable them as well. Now you have these for swipe. Similarly, you have it for pinch, for tap, and you also get settings. For some reason, they have not loaded in yet. Maybe because I'm on a USB 2 connection with my laptop, but they should have come up here just fine. Not sure what's going on with them, but these are settings that you could miss when you install Linux Mint, either the Debian edition or the normal edition, whatever, it doesn't matter. You get hot corners, different input methods, languages, nightlight, notifications, online accounts, so you can connect something like a Microsoft account, Nextcloud, WebDAV, Google, IMAP, Microsoft Exchange, things like that. That's pretty standard. Workspaces, we already talked about that. We also get window tiling, so you can maximize instead of tile when dragging a window to the top edge. So for example, if I do this, it's gonna tile. I think if I gently just poke it to the top, it's gonna tile to the top. Okay, so it's going to the next display, but if I do this, it's gonna snap on the right, on the left, and if I do this, it's gonna go to the bottom half. So that's pretty good. And if you want to maximize instead of tile, you can just drag your window over here and maximize. Now this is what I would prefer, so I think we're gonna keep that enabled. We already talked about workspaces. Now for hardware, this is pretty much standard stuff. Bluetooth, color, network, system info if you wanted to check. This is my old laptop, Intel Core i5. And I was on a Skylake, and the graphics card was a Radeon M430. Apart from that, you do also get a few admin options. And with that, we come to the end of going through settings. I mean, it wasn't complete, but going through settings completely would take a huge amount of time that is not viable for a video. And you do also get something for graphics tablets. So one of my subscribers was asking for a compatibility test with different tabs. Now, I think all of the drivers are baked into the kernel and you wouldn't have any difficulty unless you're using like a very obscure drawing tablet. And you can configure your stylus and your tablet once they are attached. Now, it does say Wacom tablet. I'm not sure if it works for other manufacturers as well. If somebody uses Wacom tablets or Wacom tablets, you can tell me down in the comments. So I think overall, that was a pretty good walkthrough of the Linux Mint Debian Edition. It looks very good, and this is the usual Linux Mint that you have. Not a whole lot of differences with the UI. I mean, it's the exact same, but underneath this is running Debian, and it will be very stable, and you don't have any of the shenanigans that Ubuntu tries to pull off. So, or rather, Canonical tries to pull off. This is the public opinion, at least. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was not a deep dive, but it was a small dive into the world of Linux Mint Debian Edition 7. GG, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.